Welcome to How to Have Extraordinary Relationships. And I am delighted to be here with artist, soilpreneur, I don't know if that's a word, wonderful person. She's a farmer. She has planted beautiful gardens. She grows her own vegetables. She cooks amazing food. She's got a lot to offer. It's Catherine Ducker. And welcome, Catherine. Would you like to describe yourself to the listeners? I'd give, just be helpful to know, what do you describe yourself as, because you're so multi-talented?
Well, I'm now really a painter and mother, finding my new feet in a new world, which is more of a loving place. But before that, I was being a painter, being a farmer, growing vegetables organically for a market garden, providing that service. And then I opened an education centre, which was for people to learn creative skills. So really a broad age group from age 10 upwards. So now that even my voice gets a little bit exasperated describing what I used to do, because it was a lot.
What? Yeah, it was a lot. What's the exasperation? That's interesting. Yeah, because that's a big list of things to do. Yeah.
So basically I pushed myself super hard because I had an incredibly hard driven mother, and I still had the residue, even though I've been working on myself and awareness and mindfulness, and I was providing yoga facilities and nutrition facilities and really good facilities for everyone. But myself, I was just depleted and run down, and I can hear it in my voice, like even when I talk about my project. So I'm a very different person now. So
that's fascinating. So what's changed? Let's start at the beginning. You've got this, you're painting right now, aren't you? So you're doing a lot of painting. Yeah. I know you've painted for a long time, but your painting style has changed. I wondered if you would tell us about your relationship with your painting and how you express yourself through it, because it's so fascinating.
Well, at A-level when I was 17, I had a really lovely art teacher, and it really resonated with me. So I thought, well, I'll go to art school, and I loved that I could actually talk through my canvases. So it became my total language. It was just the place that I could be really free. And at art school, you realize you have to push really hard because you're going to be challenged. So that suited me because I was challenged anyway. And it's just stuck with me. I've just always painted as my kind of go-to place, and I feel good when I paint, even though I bring up very difficult emotions. So yeah, that's what I do. I do love it, and there's more love in my art now.
So what was your art like before? Because you've got a real relationship with your art, don't you? It sort of lives with you, in you.
Yeah, it totally lives in me. It's totally my fiber. Before, it was very emotional, so very dark places, very expressionistic, of like anger, frustration, self-destruction. All the things would come up that I would feel in a relationship, like it would just come up into my painting in a color, in a scratchy mark. And it's different. It's very different now. I mean, I've always painted nature, and I was very concerned about destruction of nature, and that would be in my paintings. It was kind of related to also destruction, probably in myself, because I've been around so much disease. It's crazy. Like my family default was stress and disease. So I planted myself into my canvas as if I was farming. And that's where I was for a long time. Even though I had my children and I was in relationships, I just planted myself into painting, and I've planted myself back into painting, but in a better place right now.
So it feels like it's all very interrelated. The planting, the farm, planting yourself in your canvases, and the disease. Can you tell me a little bit about the disease? You were saying, I mean, I don't want to sort of pry into stuff you don't want to talk about, but it's interesting, I think, a bit about it.
Yeah. So basically I would say, and I've been aware of this for a very long time, that if we're at dis-ease with ourselves, then we could be manifesting some problems, because I've had chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, that kind of thing, so massive inflammation. I just think that by working on myself, like through some of these amazing people that are out there, and we're able to be more in harmony with ourselves, no matter what level of complexity we've gone through, because it's about stepping forward with that knowledge and bringing that into everyday life, which I bring now into my painting. So what I'm painting and hopefully putting out to the world is that kind of more eased position, right? But understanding the very painful dis-ease that we can live in. When I say dis-ease, I mean dis-ease with yourself.
Yeah. Many of us have dis-ease. Your family, you were saying, was how would you describe it? I don't say dis-ease riddled, but it sounds like there was a lot of that going on in your family.
Yes, because my dad had multiple sclerosis, and so I tried everything to help heal him. I did a lot of Reiki. We worked on meditation. I changed his diet. This is a long time ago. This is 2000. So it's 25 years ago.
Before it became something that we're all much more aware of. Okay, you were doing Reiki, diet.
Yeah. And then my mother had cancer a long time ago, but then she got pancreatic cancer. But I can just say that I noticed the stress in my household growing up as a child, and I took it on, and then I didn't realize I was so stressed. So how was I going to not carry that on subconsciously? Yeah. So I it's only in the last 6 months that I haven't had stress daily. I mean, literally
it's
just
only
vacuuming.
Yeah. So when you're vacuuming, you'd feel stressed?
Yes. Like I'll go, oh God, it's all so stressful. Or changing a bed, and now I just do it. I can pour love into it and do the things with much more ease. And I think that that's a lot to do with really accepting myself, saying that I am enough, who I am. I've dealt with some really trauma release stuff through the work that I committed myself to, which is all free because I've done it through books, so.
What sorts of books, what's worked really well for you? Let's what books do you feel, because you're right, because courses are very expensive. So yeah, I mean, what books do you think are good that have helped you, that maybe people who are listening would like to pick up and have a look at?
Okay, so Richard Schwartz from Boone, North Carolina, You Are the One You've Been Waiting For, which is internal family system work. I went through a relationship breakup and I basically crashed, and I picked up that book and it totally resonated with me, and I was able to tap into the depths of the trauma. So I could really tap into it. And then, of course, reading You Are the One is also resonating with me. And your book is absolutely beautiful. All of these books are leading to, say, greater love for yourself and greater love for out there. So what you're filtering out. And then when you're well and you're able to do good things, like cope with yourself and your complexities, and actually your complexities seem to disappear, you're able to do good things, and then that filters out, and you're able to help other people if that feels right. Whereas I used to help people, and then I was on the ground.
Yes. So a lot of people get a lot of validation through helping people, which is fine, but they overhelp. What they're not doing is replenishing their own energies. Because you were doing so much. You're running this beautiful barn, coaching barn.
Yeah.
You've got a big, tell us a bit about your farm. I mean, I've been to your farm. It's beautiful, but it looks like it's a lot of work.
Exactly. So my default was work, and I would never think this is not a woman's work. This is just a work. This is a job that has to be done. It's what I grew up with, and I basically have wanted to pour the love. I wanted to pour the love into the farm, but I just kept on getting depleted. But I did it, and I basically have put people who love what they do into the areas of the farm to make it a collective whole. So it's like I'm scooping it up in a way that I wasn't scooped up, but I'm scooping it up, and now it's a functional space. So we've got a hub where people can come to and gather. We've got amazing flowers on our farm that are sold, and we've got meadows, and all of that is down to other individuals loving that area, and it's a collective whole. So
yeah, it's amazing.
it's very beautiful. It's soil health, wildflowers, wildlife is paramount to it. So I could certainly talk more about that to people who are interested.
I am. I'm very interested in soil health, because you're talking about, I think what you're talking about is your holistic being. And we're not just talking about your holistic being. And by that, I mean mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
But also, rippling this out, because so that people start really getting involved in their own holistic way of living. That doesn't mean to say that all you do is eat chia seeds. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But you're very interesting on the way you are connected to the earth, to soil, to what you grow, to what you eat, to your art, to the land you live on. When I see you there, it feels like a huge connection. So yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
Well, yes. So my dad was born here, my grandfather was here, so there's that connection. But then really my grandmother was a vet, and she was very interested in nutrition. But my other grandmother was also on the land, but in the north of England, and she always told me how hard it was. So my connection to the soil is really, my dad in the 80s was organic, but then because of his health, we had to come out of being organic. So I've seen all systems, hugely commercial systems producing wheat and barley and energy crops. And then I used to teach, while I was growing organic vegetables, I used to teach how to make compost. So, I would have my hands in all the microorganisms and look at how well the plants that we were going to eat, how well they grew from that healthy soil, and then the link between us eating that and our gut health. So that has been a long journey. And then in the last few years, maybe 3 years, I bring a nutritionist to our hub, and she then teaches how to preserve whatever you've grown and how to get the maximum out of that food. And I'm very happy teaching people a bit about living in season, how to realistically bring that into your life. So I certainly try and create that here, and I'm happy to show more people through maybe showing little videos. But really I paint, and that's what I'm passionate about, but maybe I haven't linked it all up yet. I mean, personal growth and feeling well has been a really massively important thing recently, and especially for my children, to demonstrate that, because I was a workaholic, to demonstrate to them that actually family time and supporting each other and feeding each other is very important. Not just making.
That feels like that's quite a recent thing, is it? This sense of that you don't, you recognize your propensity to be a workaholic.
Exactly. And because I was a workaholic, I would push people away. So I wasn't good at relationships around me. Like, now that I'm reading your book, I'm probably going to be able to communicate better and and nourish other people for their success. And that is so much better, because depleting myself by doing it all myself is really crazy. And just to do the things that actually I love doing, which is really creating wild areas for wildlife. I mean, like I've been putting in like edible woodlands around the farm, and you know, that kind of means that there's a really amazing harmony in certain areas on the farm.
So what's an edible woodland? Tell me about an edible woodland.
So basically, market gardening is very intensive. We're replenishing the soil and growing intensive crops, and orchards as well. You know, I'm growing apples and pears and plums, but we prune the trees. But the edible woodland is a 3-acre plot that couldn't be used on the farm, and I planted all wild fruits and nuts and things like hops, and I leave lots of nettles so we can harvest those, and we basically in the future can go and harvest those fruits. But in that is wild flowers are coming, and I'm just leaving things to their own natural ecology. It sort of settles down, so badgers live there and deer live there and foxes, and it sort of all works together, and we can certainly harvest the crops and learn from things. I mean, like, yeah, like elders. Well, one of the plants that I love so much is elders, and even blackberries. I take the little babies that are around the farm everywhere, and then I take them up there. So it's specifically moving things so that they can be harvested, so there's enough for the birds. And learning as well, teaching people how to use them.
So you've got foxes, badgers. I mean, have you noticed a change in the wildlife? Because you're very connected to the earth, aren't you? And you're very connected to this beautiful ecosystem that, you know, that we manage to destroy so much because we're such destructive beings.
Yeah. Well, so I've planted thousands of hedges, and I've planted a lot of trees, and thinking about the future and what trees will survive. And yeah, on this farm, the wildlife is incredible. There's owls, and there's cuckoo here, and woodpeckers, and lots of birds, and there's always geese here, Egyptian and Canadian. And you know, we are in harmony with our environment, so it's well looked after. And you know, that's what I can do, is look after it.
And thinking about your physical ailments, you said you had chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
And fibromyalgia, did you say?
Yeah, terrible. I was just like, I just couldn't even walk. I couldn't hardly really walk. I was paralyzed by admin and panic and stress, and it's really been a journey to detangle all of that and make sure that through nutrition so I would for breakfast have a piece of toast, maybe some sourdough that I'd learned how to make sourdough, and we were teaching that. So I'd have that, and then some jam or something, then I'd be really tired. So some foods I had to work out what foods, and of course we've got amazing people around now doing this. So yeah, by monitoring my food, I've got better sense of less inflammation, and I'm physically really, touch wood, really good going forward now.
That feels almost miraculous.
Well, these books are miraculous. I mean, it's a life changer. It's a total life changer. Gabor Mate, Sadhguru, you, Richard Schwartz. It's putting in the work, Lucy. It pays off. And listening to positive mantras, changing your dialogue, changing the inner dialogue, putting yourself, self-love, this kind of thing.
But that sounds like it was difficult, because do you know why you're a workaholic?
Well, I'm a workaholic because there's a lot to do. I actually really enjoy it. I love working. So I didn't really know when to stop. And
okay.
Yeah. The children needed me, but you know, and I was there for the children. they might be workaholics. I need to watch that. But I love working, but it's really knowing when to stop and eat, or look after myself, because it's sort of like things more in balance.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's great to love what you do. You know, that is a great thing. But yes, if you love what you do and you want to do more of it, and there's so much to do, I totally get the fact you just keep doing it, planting and painting, all the things, farming.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And was it your body that alerted you to the fact that you were getting burnt out?
Yeah, my body alerted me exactly. That's exactly what happened. The fibromyalgia, almost like, Catherine, you can't get up properly in the morning, or I'm just exhausted, I need to go and lie down, depression and all sorts of things were filtering in. And then as menopause hit me, it got worse. I was like, I'm sitting here with the invoices and my admin to do, and I can't juggle everything. So, okay, should I take something, just to help me keep going at 100 miles an hour? Or shall I really look at this? I really got to look at this. And I really gave myself that time and permission. And I didn't abandon what my work is, but I had to put it in safe hands for a little bit while I committed to really understanding what was going on. Because I think you can possibly get as much done without panic. You can. And it's just that I was in a panic for a long time. That was making me ill.
Yeah, because your internal system's in a state of endless panic.
Exactly. So I do 20 minutes yoga every morning, and I eat my amazing food, and then I get on with the jobs, and it's more sustainable. So I had this thing, hyperfocus, because I'm also neurodiverse. So the hyperfocus meant that I didn't like being interrupted if I was working, but it seemed to be the only way I could get things done. So look, the books and the self-love has helped me not have so much hyperfocus, get things done to the same ability, and share the love out. I'm able to be a nicer person, in better, healthy relationships, probably, and be better sustainably, which is what we want, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. Have people around you noticed a difference? Have friends and family gone, wow, you're a bit different?
They do, they really do, Lucy. They really do. They can't believe it. People say you look so much better, but it is very hard to make such drastic changes. But what I've had to learn is the boundaries, because I didn't really understand that before. Filling my time with people who wanted to talk to me or something like that, I'm now better with that, and I know what I need more. Allowing it.
So you're able to say no, because boundaries, a lot of people actually don't know what boundaries are. They're sort of like, what do you mean when you mean boundaries? Because they've come from childhoods that weren't very boundaried. They don't really know how to say no, so they're constantly energetically open.
Exactly. So energetically, I was open all the time, and that's what depleted me. And then I think that's wrapped up with being an over empath. So I would literally take on everyone's problems and solve them. So now I'm very clear on what I want to do, and looking after my environment, creating really good food by example, and painting positive optimism and my own evolve. That's joy. That brings me great joy. It seems to be feeding me well internally as well. So I'm more aware of it.
So how much do you paint? Because you're saying that's your main focus right now is your painting. Or maybe it's always been your paintings, but are you giving yourself more time to paint?
I am giving myself more time, and when I'm on a roll with a series, then I'm really I really need like every day to be painting from sort of 10 till 3 or 4 or maybe longer. But again, it is, even though I'm 100% in it when I'm painting, I don't need to be completely bonkers. You know, I don't need to be so like uncontrolled. It's flowing. So the flow seems to be so much better since doing the books. Yeah.
So you're painting flowers, are you? Tell me about what you're painting.
Well, I paint about, within the painting is about balance, and I use flowers because it is about optimum health. The flowers that I particularly paint are at their optimum flowering point. So, for example, daylilies, which are in flower for a day, and then the buds are coming, and the next one will come tomorrow. So I'm painting about linking that emotion. You know, today is a beautiful day. Today is going to be a great day. It's good. So there's a link between the flowers, and I want to capture that optimum health for people to know they can be in optimum health if they take conscious care of themselves. I want to spread the joy. Flowers are so beautiful, and they're a reminder of the fragility, the biodiversity that we have around us in whatever country you're in. Whether it's a small flower in a dry place, or a big dahlia in a luscious green space, or in a tropical, wherever you are, that flower can give you so much of a reminder that we're connected to nature. So
nature's very important to you, isn't it?
Nature has always been everything to me. I've always been connected to an animal or a place, and I love the next generation to be connected to their place, you know, and whether that's from getting their children to go and pick apples or blackberries, anything really to connect you to something simple but is so free and genuine. And that's what I'm always looking for, is that genuine thing, an authentic thing.
And do your children feel that connection? Because when I was a kid, we went scrumping, we picked blackberries. That with my children when they were little, because we were fortunate to grow up in the countryside. But do you fear that children are losing that connection?
Yeah, and I would love children to come to my farm, actually, so that I could just answer questions and just lie in the grass, and I can answer questions about why something's being cut, or what something's being used for, or which bird that was. My children, yes. My daughter is very connected to nature. It's been very, very important for her with her neurodiversity to be connected. And then my son, he's completely obsessed with technology. He was, and he's definitely started engaging more in nature, and he really cares about animal welfare and things. So yeah.
Yes. So you'd love people to come to the farm and get a real sense of how the earth, the soil, what you grow, harvesting, what's the importance of organic farming. Is that something you'd really love to do?
Yeah, I'd love to talk to people about organic systems or not organic systems. The locality of your produce is more important. You know, that your neighbour's growing something, so go and get that courgette or the asparagus. It's in me. It's been in me all my life. It's very easy for me to talk about it or teach it, and I do have the facility to be able to do that. But there are great educators out there. I just hope that maybe that's something that will grow in the education system, or in the UK, or anywhere in the world. It's not something I thought about, because I was very burnt out, Lucy, so I kind of gave up on that. But now I'm talking to you about it. now I'm talking to you about it, it feels quite natural to me to do it. But I just need to be very careful about not burning out. But one of the things that will make a massive difference after reading your book is how I do that with people, and like lose my ego, or lose all of that, and really work as a community all together to make it to really help people connect with nature, food, the gut health, whatever level you can do, wherever you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, but I think if you're neurodiverse, and of course there are many strands of that, you can get, as you said, very hyper focused. So you kind of have to do like everything now.
Yeah, or that
Yeah.
wholly, yeah.
And did thinking back to your father when you were doing Reiki with him and changed his diet, I know this was quite a long time ago, but did you find that it helped? Did you see noticeable improvements?
Yeah, I mean, so I just know that stress and inflammation was a really big issue, and I was 20, so I was doing my degree in London. And when I came back, I had 8 years with him and his mother, who had Alzheimer's. So I was just from 20 to 30 really at the farm painting and looking after them, and definitely being around for them, being as calm as I could be. I could see that Reiki and yoga definitely helped him, but there was stress that there's no way I could now help him more. So I couldn't help him to the level that he probably needed. And I can't do anything about that. I just gave him all the love that I could, because he was amazing. He was amazing, but he was burnt out in a wheelchair. He was very, very tired. So I just poured in the love and made him smoothies even then.
Something very significant about the way stress comes out in our bodies. That's something I'm really hearing, how tiredness and stress really affects our physical health.
Yeah, I think that by listening to Sadhguru over the last year, I've really learned so much about really what are we getting stressed about, think about, so getting under control with that and using communication. Like, I would have loved to have said to my dad, okay, are you really stressed about that? Is there anything I can do about it? Let's really talk about the depths of it, because nowadays we seem to talk about the depths of it, the triggers. And I was defaulting to stress all the time, Lucy. So even in relationships, I was getting very stressed, and I was just carrying stress all the time. But I've shed it. So
it's I think what's interesting about it is it becomes a go-to thing. It's almost like we're not even aware we're doing it. There's also something about people get praised if they work really hard. I think people say things to me like, I get up at 5 and I meditate, and then I soak some chia seeds, and then I go running, and I just that, and I'm like, I don't. I'm asleep. And then I might have a coffee, and then I do a bit of thinking, I might do a bit of writing. Actually that for me is completely dreamy. The idea, I don't want to get up and run and soak seeds and cook rice. It sounds very stressful to me.
Well, exactly. I mean, I would get up at 5 a.m, pick the vegetables, go to the market, sell the vegetables. I was like, literally, I'd be in my house, but running across to the education center, because I was running courses for kids and running courses for adults. And I was running, like, literally no one could talk to me because I was running. And then I just crashed, and I had to work out which part of my life is actually good and nourishing, and look, and I just need to really get the other things away. And I guess after maybe 30 years of a lot of stress, that's probably the amount of time that my body could handle. I just crashed at 50, really, I suppose. And I'm 51 now, so it's been an intensive year of repair. And I'm blessed, touch wood, I'm blessed that going on forwards, it could be sustainable, and I might be a much nicer person to people that I'm around. I mean, I was feeling like I was a good person, but I think that I'm more patient, and I really genuinely deeply love myself more, and I love other people more. And so that's something I need to constantly work at.
And we also talked a bit, I mean, a part of it is around menopause, I think, for women, is when we get to our 50s. Did you find that was difficult?
Like, really difficult, but it's really hard to pull out what was menopause and what was dysfunctional living. So,
yes.
You know, it's like I was hugely inflammational around my face and my body. Like I was much larger. But yet I was very aware of nutrition. I was smoothieing and juicing and everything. So what was menopause? I don't, you know, I was living at too fast a pace for myself, and I was coming to a crescendo. And I was taking HRT for a tiny bit, and then I was away. So I thought, no, I'm not going to take this because I'm quite happy overseas. Now it was just a process of self-elimination. I was trying ashwagandha and other things, and right now I'm not taking anything. I'm very happy and balanced, and doing breathing and meditation is good for my fog brain, and things are really so much better. I just couldn't believe that could happen.
I think it's complicated. I know we're drifting a bit off topic, but I think it's complicated because, you know, I think all sorts of things happen when you turn 50 or get into your 50s. You know, all sorts of things happen, and you're never quite sure, is this menopause, or is this the fact that, you know, I don't know, someone's ill, or my children are leaving home, or, you know, a whole set of other stuff happens. Maybe it doesn't really matter. It's trying to find the skills or whatever it is you need to help you through to the whatever the other side is. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? You find what works for you.
Exactly. And everybody has a different way of getting there. So I just knew that I needed to work on my health, and that I needed to make sure that my farm was sustainable. And at one point I became utterly incompetent. I was, oh my God, I can't make a decision. Total incompetence. And I just, you know, I just had to have faith that things would work out, and things really have worked. Things are really working out, touch wood. The more love, the more care that I take over myself, the more balance in my life. Better. You know.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's fascinating. How can people find you?
So my paintings are catherineducker.com, or on Instagram. catherineducker.com, or Catherine Ducker on Instagram for my paintings, or thecoachingbarn.com is for my education centre. I'm in Oxfordshire. Thank you so much, Lucy. Good to talk.
Yes, and you can also find Catherine on YouTube.
Oh yeah, now I'm just doing a channel at the moment, Catherine Ducker.
Yeah, so I'm on that a bit with you.
You are, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Lucy. Thank you so much. We're so blessed to be in this time where people are helping each other in this way.
Yeah, we are. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, lots of love. Thank you.